And good morning. It's 7:04 on this Tuesday, June 18th. It's time to head to Studio B for Coleman and Company.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome. Here we are on a Tuesday morning, and thanks you for joining us. Our program each Tuesday is presented by Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital, and we always have Tracy Pope here on alternate Tuesdays to bring a medical professional. Tracy is the Director of Community Relations for Vanderbilt Wilson and is right here with us. Good morning.
Good morning, Coleman.
Nice to see you again. I hope things are going well.
Yes, enjoying the summer, trying to play some golf, and just really enjoying the weather that we're having.
Well, now, you hadn't told me much about your golf game.
Oh, okay.
You enjoy golf.
Well, now that I have adult children, my husband and I, we like to play golf together. And, at the hospital, we participate in lots of civic organization golf tournaments. So I'm trying to play a little bit to go out there and play them. I'm not very good, but as a female golfer, you do have a little bit of a curve. If you can drive the ball, you're participating in the team in a scramble. So that's what I try to do.
And you get to tee off a little bit closer.
A little bit closer. Sometimes, yeah. But I have enjoyed it. Golf's a tough game, and I hit a lot of bad shots, but when you hit a good one, then that makes you come back and want to do it again. So
you're right, and you're playing yourself as much as an opponent, really.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Who you got for us today?
We have Dr. Lance LeClaire. He has been with us before. He is Captain, Medical Corps, United States Navy Reserve with our Vanderbilt Orthopedic Lebanon Group. So we're excited to have Dr. LeClaire with us this morning.
Well, Dr. LeClaire, good morning and welcome again.
Good morning, Coleman. Great to be back with you.
Found out a few things about you. You reminded me of a few, and then brought up some more here before we went on the air. But you are a family man and got 3 children, I believe.
Yes, sir. I've got 3 at home, 12, 10, and 8, 2 girls and a boy. And time is flying by. They're getting older really fast, and they're loving their summer sports and summer camps right now, as I'm sure a lot of folks out there are doing the same.
Well, that's something about you that I'm sure everybody wants to know. But we want to know a little bit more about you and where you were trained and how you got into this, which you probably told us the last time, but we don't remember it all.
Well, Tracy mentioned that I'm in the Navy Reserves. I was active duty for 15 years, and I like to say that I was fortunate to get a lot more from the Navy than they got from me. First and foremost, I met my wife in the Navy. I was a medical student doing a rotation out in San Diego, and I met this beautiful nurse that we ended up getting married a few years later. She was on active duty, and she's been deployed on the Mercy, a hospital ship in the military, doing relief work in Southeast Asia. And so early on in our lives together, it was we were a very Navy family, and we remained that way. One of my duty stations in the Navy was at the Naval Academy, which was a great place to live and work. And I was fortunate to have great mentors in the Navy. I did my residency there.
Annapolis, Maryland, right?
Annapolis, Maryland, yeah. We started in San Diego, and I had the opportunity to take care of the Navy SEALs and the West Coast Special Operations Forces there, which was an incredible experience. I learned a lot from them, learned a lot about human performance, a lot about getting people back into the fight, as we say, keeping them on active duty. And I had some great mentors there. One of which was Matt Preventure, who went on to great things, including the team physician for the New England Patriots when they won a Super Bowl. From residency in San Diego, the Navy let me do additional fellowship training. So I did specialized training in sports medicine and shoulder. I did that at Massachusetts General Hospital and the Harvard program in Boston. So we spent a great year together, my wife and I's first year as a married couple together in Boston. And during that year, we covered the Boston Red Sox, the New England Patriots, and the Boston Bruins. I kind of became the de facto New England Patriots fellow. I spent a lot of time in their locker room. Of course, Brady and Belichick and Gronk were all still there at that time, and we went to the Super Bowl that year, and it was incredible. I had my own locker at the Super Bowl, which was a surreal experience, and the Super Bowl that year was in Indianapolis. I'm originally from Evansville, Indiana, and I have some family that lives in Indianapolis, so my family got to be part of all of the Super Bowl events, which was an incredible experience as well. And so after
what did you win that year?
We unfortunately lost to the Giants. That was the second time that they had lost to the Giants. It was an incredible game, an incredible atmosphere. But I will say, as unbelievable as that experience was, and I'm so grateful for that opportunity to be part of the Super Bowl and learn from my mentors on the sidelines on how to take care of a professional team. I don't think anything matches the feeling you get when you're on the sidelines at an Army-Navy game. I mean, I would just get goosebumps and tears in my eyes every single year. I was fortunate to do it for 6 years as the head team physician at the Naval Academy. And when those guys run out of the tunnel...
So you were pulling for Navy, obviously.
Yes, very much so. When those teams run out of the tunnel and you've got the entire Corps of Cadets and the entire brigade of midshipmen in the stands, and they're just going crazy... after their march on, and they've got flyovers, and there's just so much patriotism, and you realize how special these young men are that are on the field and how special the men and women are in the stands that have served or will serve our country. It's just an incredible thing to be a part of. And then you look next to you, and there's the Commandant of the Marine Corps, or there's, the Secretary of the Navy. And they're giving you a hug after you score a touchdown, and it's just just an amazing experience. I just high-fived with the Commandant of the Marine Corps,
Wow.
And so those were incredible experiences. And just, those players are playing the game because they love the sport, they love their teammates, and they want to represent their school. It's the very best of what college athletics is all about, and it was incredible experience to keep those players on the field. And that's what everything's about at Naval Academy, is beat Army, So everything we did we've revolved around that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I hope you get to share a little bit of this with your patients from time to time, because you certainly have some interesting stories. What about Brady?
Tom Brady is such an amazing person. And he is so personable and, just such a gentleman and so appreciative to those around him. And I think he is a great leader in that regard. He was laser focused during the game on winning, and he elevated everybody's performance, everybody around him, from the coaching staff to the other players to the medical staff even. And I think that's what makes him a champion, is he expects a lot out of himself, and people see that, but he also treats everybody around him with respect. And I think that sets the tone for the entire organization. It was great to see a champion like that at work, and you take a lot of those lessons, and I try to teach my kids those same things. And I try to apply a lot of those lessons from the Patriots organization to how we run our practice and how we treat our patients.
Well, how did you get to Vanderbilt and then specifically get here in Wilson County?
So I was, after 15 years on active duty and 6 years at the Naval Academy, I was seeing a lot of patients from Europe.
21 years?
I was all told 15 years of active duty. Six of those were at the Naval Academy.
Okay.
And so my plan was to stay in the military, and we were getting a lot of medevacs back from Europe to the Naval Academy with sports injuries. And so I talked to Navy leadership and said, what about sending me to Europe so I can take care of these patients over there? Because it was time for me to get a new set of orders. And we were all set to go, and then COVID hit.
Oh.
And so we started looking at, and so I couldn't go to Europe, and so we were looking for other opportunities, and I decided to look at civilian opportunities, and I interviewed at 4 or 5 different jobs, and Vanderbilt had all the things that I was looking for in my job, in my ideal opportunity to take care of patients as a civilian. And the opportunity at Vanderbilt Wilson County in Lebanon represented the very best of what I wanted in a practice. Lebanon reminds me of my hometown, which is technically Newburgh, although I say Evansville, Indiana, because no one knows where Newburgh is. But a lot of hardworking folks that are very passionate about their community, that treat each other, like family. Even geographically, it looks kind of similar, with rolling hills and farmland and things like that. So I saw a lot of my hometown in Lebanon, and I wanted the opportunity to take care of folks in this community. But I wanted to teach, and I wanted to do research, and I wanted to take care of sports teams. And I wanted great partners and be a part of a great department. And so Vanderbilt checked all those boxes. And so just the opportunity was incredible to come and join this department and this community.
Well, as an orthopedic surgeon, what types of patients do you treat?
So, as I mentioned before, I'm fellowship trained in sports medicine and shoulder surgery. So, we try to bring in at Vanderbilt Orthopedics. All of our surgeons are fellowship trained. So we are all orthopedic surgeons, but we have an additional subspecialty area in which we dedicate our research and most of our clinical practice. So for me, that's shoulder and knee. And so in the knee, I do primarily ligament, cartilage, and meniscus work. So ACL tears, meniscal tears, cartilage injuries. And then I also do shoulder surgery. So everything from rotator cuff repairs to shoulder instability to shoulder replacements. And my area of passion and interest, because of my experience in the military, has been shoulder instability. So if someone has a shoulder that dislocates, I've done a lot of research on that and learned a lot over my time in the military on our current approach to thinking about shoulder instability. And a lot of our surgeries are done arthroscopically in sports medicine, and that's kind of my area of expertise.
Do you do more shoulder than you do knee?
I do ideally about 50-50. Yeah. And then I do take community trauma call at the Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital, which is now a level 3 trauma center, which has been an incredible thing for the community. We are now able to take care of acute trauma, and folks can stay here in Lebanon to get that high-level trauma care instead of having to go downtown to the level 1 trauma center.
Okay, we've come to the time for us to take a break. We have Dr. Lance McClear here along with Tracy Pope representing Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital here on Coleman and Company, FM 98.9.
And let's see what's happening on the roadways. Thanks to Bates Ford, get a battery installed on most vehicles. $149.95. Bates Ford, 1780 Franklin Road. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. Still out here with some early morning crashes like 65 southbound at Long Hollow Pike. Hopefully that's going to improve quite a bit here in the next few minutes. They just hauled off another vehicle. It's been a mess on 840 in Wilson County this morning, just off 540. We got power lines down out there. Again, try to avoid that area of Wilson County if you can there on 840. Princess Hot Chicken has new items on that new menu. Check them all out today. PrincessHotChicken.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Renewal happens here at Lebanon Center for Rehabilitation and Healing. Lebanon Center for Rehabilitation and Healing has experienced new leadership and a new atmosphere. Same location in the heart of Lebanon, 731 Castle Heights Court on the Castle Heights campus. Lebanon Center for Rehabilitation and Healing is providing 5-star clinical outcomes to short-term and long-term care residents. Call 615-444-4319 for a tour and to experience the new culture. Renewal happens here at Lebanon Center for Rehabilitation and Healing.
Are you facing a challenging time that you need help navigating? Well, look no further than your local law firm of Kane and Crowell. At the offices of Kane and Crowell, our team of experienced attorneys is here to guide you through every step of the process. With a proven track record of success and a commitment to our clients and our community, look no further than the team at Kane and Crowell to fight for your rights and provide representation you deserve. 615-784-4800.
We continue here on this, my story, but I'll finish it a little bit later. Our program brought to you, of course, by Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital. And again, Dr. Lance McClear is with us, along with Tracy Pope. Got to get back to you, Dr. McClear, because you've got, we were just talking about hockey during the break, which is, I guess, somewhat of your next venture. You've got something you really want to tell us about and are very happy about, I understand.
That's right. I've been fortunate to be a team physician for the Nashville Predators for the past 3 years, and Dr. Jed Kuhn, who is the division chief for sports medicine at Vanderbilt, has been the head team physician for the Predators for the past 15 years, and we will swap roles. I've been backing him up for the last 3 years, and we will swap roles, and I'll take over as the head team physician for the Predators this next week, and I'm very excited to continue the tradition of providing high-quality service and care that Dr. Kuhn has been doing for the last 15 years. We're going to carry that on for the next 10 with our partnership with the Preds.
They are big, tough guys. Some of them are big. Some aren't maybe as big, but they're all tough. But they still get hurt sometimes.
They do. It's an incredible sport to watch, and I am just blown away by the toughness and the tenacity of these players. And some of the things that would keep a lot of us at home on the couch doesn't slow them down one bit, and they're back out on the ice, and they want to get back out on the ice as soon as they possibly can so they don't miss a shift. And they're just incredible athletes and fun to watch them do their work.
But you have to judge whether they're ready to get back on ship, quote unquote, right?
We do, and so we provide in-game coverage. We sometimes, need to go to the X-ray suite and take some X-rays right then and there in the game. We sew some lacerations up from time to time from the puck or from the skates, and we also provide services in between games for medical coverage. Our primary goal is to keep the players safe, but also keep them on the ice enjoying the sport that they love, and keep them winning for the city of Nashville.
When somebody gets hurt, are you normally able to see that actually happen, or do you go by the replay, so to speak? You would witness a lot of these, wouldn't you?
Well, I think there's two things. What's really incredible is the athletic trainers have such a sharp eye, and they can see things in real time as the player's coming off the ice or off the football field and say, they just sprained their ankle. And you just say, how did you even see that in that pile of players? And they've been on the field or on the ice every day for sometimes 15, 20 years, and they just pick up things. It's so amazing. It's like they see it in slow motion. So the athletic trainers are really the engine that makes the sports medicine team go. And so they do great work. And just even in my career, I've seen the evolution of technology really help us a lot, especially with concussion diagnosis, but also with ACL injuries and things like that. We now have real-time video replays in most sports at the collegiate or professional level where we can watch on a tablet and we can see what happened in the injury. And that does help us with diagnosis. It helps us determine whether it's appropriate to send someone back out onto the field or onto the ice. And it helps us really get these players, keep them healthy. Make good decisions for them so we can protect them and keep them playing the sport that they love.
Are the injuries very similar in both hockey and football? Or are there some that are more common for one than the other?
There are some differences. And so, in the NFL and in football, we see a lot of shoulder instability. We see a lot of ligament tears, ACL, for instance. In hockey, we see, you have the puck is such a dangerous thing. It's flying around sometimes 100 miles an hour. The amount of force that puck can impart on the players is incredible. So we're always working to analyze injury patterns. For instance, fractures happen quite often from the impact from the puck. And so we analyze where these injuries occur so we can help the league design protective equipment to keep the player safer. And so it's a partnership. The league has people that they employ and work with to design protective equipment, and then as medical staff, we have input on that as well. So there are differences. We don't see as many ACL tears. We don't see as much shoulder instability, but there are some commonalities. There's meniscal tears, there's ankle injuries, and AC joint injuries, for instance, happen very frequently in football and hockey.
Well, the time that it takes to heal is a lot of times athletes seem to recover quicker because of being in good shape, I suppose. But that is part of your job too, to know when they've recovered, right?
Absolutely, and that's one of our areas of research in Vanderbilt and Vanderbilt sports medicine, is that we want to optimize the return to play. And we want to really be a return to play center of excellence for our athletes, and that carries forward to all of our patients, so that if you come into the office and you've got a meniscus tear, we take what we've learned from high-level athletes, how we rehab them, how we treat them from a nutrition standpoint, how we return in a gradual fashion back to the desired level of activity. And we take those lessons learned and we apply them to all of our patients so we can get people back to doing what they want to do, whether it's skiing or whether it's playing golf or whether it's pickleball on the weekends. And so we take those principles and apply them, but we definitely learn a lot from these high-level athletes on how to really get folks back as quickly as we can.
Yeah, and doctors, many of them, I'll bet you are pretty strong-willed. Athletes can be very strong-willed about, I've got to get back on the ice or I get it back on the football field. You clash sometimes?
Yeah, sometimes those are hard decisions. And, when I was at the Naval Academy, I always told the players, our philosophy is we want to accomplish 3 goals. Number 1, we want to get you back on that field or the ice or the court, playing the sport you love as quickly as we can, because it's important to you, and because of that, it's important to us. Number 2, We want you to graduate and be able to serve out your obligation to the United States Navy or the United States Marine Corps, because that's why you're at the Naval Academy. Number 3, we want you to be able to teach that sport to your kid in the backyard 20 years down the road or 30 years down the road. And so usually those 3 goals line up. And so the decision-making, when they all line up, the decision-making is usually pretty clear. But when we may have to put goal number one, on pause or delay to accomplish goals 2 and 3, that's when we have to have tougher conversations and longer conversations. And we really believe in what's called shared decision-making. And I'm a big believer in having the Athlete Support Network be a part of that decision-making process. And the Athlete Support Network may be different for different people. It may be the coach, it may be the athletic trainer, it's mom, it's dad, it's aunt or uncle. And so it's important to have those people on board with those decisions. Ultimately, my job is not to make the decision for the athlete. My job is to inform the athlete, what are the risks, what are the benefits, what are the short-term and long-term consequences, and what are your options? And together we make a decision with that athlete. I don't make the decision for the athlete. They make the decision, but my job is to inform you of all the pros and cons of those decisions.
Okay, well, let's talk about shoulder pain and common causes.
Yeah, so this is where if you're in the office, depending on how old you are, it may be many different things. If you're in the office and you're in your teens and 20s and you've got shoulder pain, your most likely diagnosis is shoulder instability, where your shoulder it can come out of place, whether it's contact, and sometimes it's non-contact injuries. That's shoulder instability usually in a teenager or a 20-year-old. As we get, I'm in my mid-40s now, and if I were to come into the office to see someone with shoulder pain, my most likely diagnosis would be something with the rotator cuff. And so whether it's rotator cuff inflammation and tendinitis or it's a rotator cuff tear, rotator cuff issues are very common, and we do a lot of research on that at Vanderbilt. And thankfully, a lot of that research has shown that we can treat most rotator cuff problems without surgery. And so as a surgeon, believe it or not, my primary goal is to keep people out of the operating room. And if we can do non-operative treatment, that's the way we're going to do it. As we get a little bit older, in 60s, 70s, 80s, a lot of times we see arthritis in the shoulder. And we have great options now that we didn't have when I was going through training with different types of shoulder replacements that can completely change your lifestyle, give you mobility back, decrease your pain, and keep you active.
Well, moving on to knee pain and ACL tears, meniscus tears. Let's talk about that a little bit and their treatment and surgery when it's necessary.
Yeah, we've really come a long way in meniscus tears and ACL tears too. There's a big movement in orthopedics right now to save the meniscus, quote unquote. Several decades ago, if you had a meniscus tear, we would take the meniscus out. You're not going to tear it anymore if it's not in there. We realize quickly that the meniscus has a very important function in the knee. It's a shock absorber. And so if you remove that shock absorber, rapid onset of arthritis. And so we don't want that. And so now we do everything we can to preserve the meniscus. We have new techniques and instruments and methods of diagnosing meniscus tears, and I repair more meniscus tears now than I ever have in my career. And it's been really gratifying to see, and meniscus tears aren't just in young people. I have a group of 50 and 60-year-old folks that have had meniscus tears that we've repaired, and some patients were in wheelchairs before we did their surgery, and then their first post-op visit, they're walking in under their own power, feeling much better. And so
that makes you feel better, obviously.
I get very happy for my patients when I see that. I get some hugs occasionally in clinic too, which is great. And ACL surgery, we have really come a long way, not just in our techniques, but in our rehab as well. There are things like blood flow restriction, which we were doing when I was with the SEALs, and I was like, what is this? And you put a tourniquet on the leg, and you can do rehab even when you're not supposed to put weight on the leg. In some instances after surgery, we don't allow weight bearing. But if you do blood flow restriction, you can really speed up your rehab. And so those are our goals, is to decrease the amount of recovery time and decrease the risk of re-rupture. And so we've got newer technology, newer techniques that allow us to do that.
We got about a minute for you to tell us a little about the rest of your highly specialized team at Vanderbilt Orthopedics. Levin.
So I've got two great partners at Vanderbilt Orthopedics Lebanon. Sean Patel is a hand and upper extremity specialist that sees everything from the fingertips all the way up to the shoulder, and he's an outstanding surgeon. He trained at Cleveland Clinic for a hand fellowship and then did an overseas fellowship in Australia for complex shoulder. So he does a lot of shoulder replacements for us in Lebanon. And then Hunter Hood is our newest member of our team, and he is fellowship trained in joint replacements and does excellent knee and hip replacements. Both of these gentlemen are outstanding technical surgeons, but they're also excellent bedside manner and just great guys that are, you could talk to all day long. And they'll take great care of you and treat you like their own family.
Well, Dr. Clear, we could talk the second half this morning and not finish, I'm sure, but you've been a delightful guest. And Tracy, we usually let you have the last word.
Yes, this morning has been wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. LeClaire, for joining us. And, this just goes to show it's another way that Vanderbilt is bringing highly specialized care to your local community. And as Dr. LeClaire has told us this morning about the wonderful opportunity with the Nashville Predators, he is right here in Lebanon, able to see patients, able to take care of you, your loved one, your child for a sports medicine injury. And it's just, we're just so fortunate to have the same physician that is taking care and has been taking care of highly skilled athletes that can do just hometown work. I know lots of people say, you got to go to Nashville to get excellent care, and that is just not the case. We are just so fortunate to have Vanderbilt here in Wilson County.
Well, thank you so much for being with us, and just keep up the good work.
Thank you, Coleman.
That is part one of Coleman and Company, but we've got more. Please keep it right here, FM 98.9.
And let's see what's happening on the roadways. Thanks to Absolute Kubota. High performance, high horsepower, 0% financing is still a thing. Now is the best time to save on new Kubota L-Series tractors, rated number 1 for durability and owner experience in the U.S. Absolute Kubota, 1506 West Main. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. It's finally looking much better now as you come out of Sumner County down towards Nashville, and there on 65 southbound at Long Hollow Pike from the earlier crash. What a mess out there in Wilson County. Had some problems out there earlier this morning. 840 just off I-40. Again, trying to avoid that area for a little bit longer. Now, it's pretty heavy now on 24 westbound, coming up through the Antioch area, coming in right now from Murfreesboro, Rutherford County towards Nashville. Radar earlier, I-40 out in Dixon County. Hey, Prince's Hot Chicken has new items on the menu, princeshotchicken.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Where a patient starts their cancer care matters. And here, that means Vanderbilt Ingram Cancer Center, Wilson County. It's Vanderbilt's level care without making the drive to Nashville. From screening to diagnosis to treatment and recovery, patients can get all the care they need right here close to home. So now, having the best care team and most advanced treatment is closer than ever. Vanderbilt Ingram Cancer Center, making cancer care personal.
What is your passion? How can you use that passion to enrich your community? Hi, this is Melanie Minter, President and CEO of the Lebanon-Wilson County Chamber of Commerce. Your chamber is the resource for making connections to fulfill your passion. Whether education, nonprofit, agriculture, entertainment, or government relations, Wilson County offers a place for you to be involved. Your chamber connects businesses, individuals, and your passion to the community. We have an enthusiasm for excellence. Join us and catch the spirit. Call or visit our office at 149 Public Square in Lebanon.
We'll have partly to mostly cloudy skies today with a slight chance of a few passing rain showers or thunderstorms. Highs will be around 90. Mostly cloudy tonight, lows around 70, and then mostly cloudy again for Wednesday, highs back around 90. This weather forecast brought to you by Walker Auction and Realty, professional auction and real estate services. Get top dollar for your home, land, or personal property. Log on to MikeWalkerAuctions.com. They know auctions. With your Severe View forecast, I'm Storm Specialist Drew Richards.
We welcome you to part 2 of Coleman and Company. Here on a Tuesday, we welcome Sean Dozier. He's our Tuesday regular to talk about Hearthside Senior Living. Sean's executive director there at 215 Castle Heights Avenue North. So once again, good morning.
Well, good morning, Coleman, to you. You got the commercial or the on-air sound always interrupts a good story.
Well, that's all right. That's
you can tell it. You can tell it later.
The show must go on.
Everything's going great at Hearthside, Coleman. We are full in our assisted living. We've got a healthy waiting list for the assisted living. Of course, we also have a rather lengthy list for the independent living. But we are still taking giving tours. This week, yesterday and last week, we had several tours. People just popping in to see what we're about, and I like that because we don't prepare for it. We just they come in and they see what we're doing, and I think that's the best kind of tour there is. And we had one lady come in. She was looking for her mother a place, and we gave her a tour. She really liked what we had, but she started talking about her transfers and her memory, and just wasn't the right fit. So we referred her to a memory care here in town, and I think she's going to be moving in there this week. So we were able to help her out.
Sometimes you have to do that.
Yeah, we're glad to help families out, give them other suggestions. I had another tour come in. This couple was looking for her father, and he's doing great, actually. He just needs a little helping hand and with his medication, and we put him on the list, so hopefully he'll move in, and they want to be at Hearthside. So I say all that just to say, if you are thinking about assisted living, even in the future, it's good to have some options and good to have some choices out there so you don't get to the hospital one day and a caseworker comes in and says, I need you to make a choice between these three right now. It's, at least you know ahead of time where you'd like to go or have your first option, second option, third option. And I enjoy it when people come in and tour, even though they may not need it right now. They're thinking ahead, and I appreciate them doing that.
Well, you really have a wonderful thing going here, and you have, and your predecessors, you've been able to help so many people and to provide something that is very much needed in that stage of life.
Well, it is a season of life, and the independent living has really provided us an opportunity to help more people. We've had several of our folks in our independent living stay on campus and move, as we like to say, up the hill to the big house and move into the assisted living. So the assisted living, along with the independent living, has really paid off for a lot of families because they're able to stay on that one campus for many, many years. We don't have a memory care. We don't have a SNF, a skilled nursing facility, a long-term care facility. But for the season of life for assisted living or independent living, I think we're the perfect choice because we're able to extend somebody's season of life in one place for quite a bit of time. And people appreciate that. I had one man, actually a couple, that lived in the homes for 5 years. She got sick, and they both moved to the assisted living. She needed a little bit of higher level of care, so she moved to another assisted living. He moved with her, and a year later, after she passed away, he moved back. So I say all that to say we are able to provide a service that are able to keep people together and are able to, just provide a service for a lengthy period of time.
Well, and of course, the fact that you're locally owned and managed means a lot too, I think.
Well, we're, I don't know, we're a nonprofit, we're independent, locally owned. We're not run by big organizations that you have to call to New York to get an answer. You call me or you ask Janet at the front office, and things get done pretty quickly around there, and that's what people like about it.
And again, we've talked about this an awful lot, really, but you sort of have a bottom line. I mean, you don't nickel and dime people to death, and I think that's appreciated too.
Well, we don't. First thing we say is we don't have a community fee. We don't charge people to move in. All those fees and taxes you pay when you wonder why you're paying those things at the beginning. But we don't do that. We don't offer a community fee. We don't make people pay to move in. All you do is move in. You pay one bottom price for. You get housekeeping, laundry, 3 meals a day, room and board, activities, Wi-Fi, cable, all included in one price. And, some facilities charge you to take a meal down to your room, where they charge you for housekeeping, or they charge you for this and that. And like you say, we don't nickel and dime you. We charge one price, which is a fair price, and it goes a long way in keeping our facility full.
All right, I bet it's time for a Hearthside Hello.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I saw Susan Shaw at the pickleball. I don't know if she's a pickleball player, but I think she wants to be. But anyway, she was at the ribbon cutting, and we talked quite a bit. And of course, she's president of Wilson Rise. We served on the board there for many years together. She's doing a great job as president, and I've always liked Susan and appreciate all that she does for the community and Mayor Hutto's office. So Susan Shaw is our Hearthside Hello. Hope she has a great day, a great week. And Coleman, can I say one thing to Mike?
Yes.
Go Vols.
Thank you, Mayor, turn your mic up, Mayor. You say it again.
I said, thank you, Sean.
All right. Sean, we'll see you next week. Sean Dozier, Executive Director, Hearthside Senior Living. Mike Jennings is our county attorney. He's here wearing his UT shirt today. I guess we would expect nothing less. You've made it, let's say, so far so good.
So far so good.
World Series in Omaha. Have you been out there at all?
I have. I just got back in yesterday about 5.
Well, I was wondering if you'd be at the county commission meeting last night.
No, I had to come back for that, and I planned for that.
Well, I didn't think it'd be too easy for you to get out of that, especially with a meeting like we had last night.
Right. No, I knew that, but it was budget night anyway. And so I had made plans to get back here, and I got to see the first 6 games, and I saw even the games that Tennessee did not play in. It's a great baseball atmosphere. Fantastic.
Well, you're in the driver's seat. You got one more win, and then you would match up with whoever wins the other side?
Bracket. We're in the driver's seat on our side of the bracket, and then Texas A&M is on the other side. But the teams that are left there, Coleman, and really the 8, I saw all 8 of them play. Any one of them could have won this thing. They were good. And I think Tennessee is probably still the favorite, the sentimental favorite with North Carolina State, because people remembered what happened to them 3 years ago, but they went out in 2 games. They played hard.
And did they lose to Tennessee?
No. That's Florida State lost to us. North Carolina State.
Yeah. Right.
I've saw so many games now I can't remember, but they lost both their games. One of them, one of them they lost 7-3. One of them they lost by 1 run.
Well, you got Florida and Florida State, or did have, and then North Carolina and North Carolina State.
Yeah.
And the 8 are divided into 2 groups of 4.
Yeah.
And I know Virginia's gone, and that was the one. Tennessee was with 3 from that other conference. And then the other 3 SEC teams with whichever one from there was with them. And that's confusing, I'm sure. But
yeah, there's still 6 left as we speak. By the time we go to bed tonight, it'll be down to 4. And
Virginia lost, and then
North Carolina State.
Yeah.
And there's some good teams out there, some good individual players as well.
But Kentucky lost to Texas A&M. That was their first loss.
It was a little bit surprising, although my favorite has been all along Texas A&M. My son, MJ, would be glad to hear this. My middle son has said all along, watch out for Florida.
Yeah.
And they got hot at the right time. So, they didn't even have a winning record in the conference, but here they are in the last 6 in the country.
But like Clyde Harville used to say, that's why we play.
That's why we play them. And you never know what's going to happen.
Well, I will say last night, the Reds were in Pittsburgh, and I'm thinking maybe, but then when I saw that Pittsburgh pitcher, he is good. And Pittsburgh did win, and they got behind, and I was switching over and watching the game with Kentucky and Texas A&M and pulling for the Wildcats, and they didn't do it either. And I happened to think about the county commission meeting, and I started flipping on all 3, and when it really got interesting, and the 2 teams I'm pulling for both losing, I stayed glued to y'all. And that was an interesting meeting last night. To me, it was very interesting. The parliamentary procedure things that you had to do, and some that you kind of had to settle and say, this is what we're supposed to do, and so on. And I don't want to steal your thunder, but I think I learned from watching that, and there's several things I'll hopefully ask you about before we get through this morning.
Well, let me say, as far as parliamentary procedure goes, I have never had a course, and I don't know anything about it. All of mine's been on the job training, and I'm sure there are parliamentarians out there, the guys and ladies that teach it in the high schools or colleges, and if they watch me, I may very well be a film clip in their class of what not to do, in a certain situation. I don't know. But I just do the best I can with what I've got, and hopefully it's right. If not, it's well intentioned. I'll say that.
Well, for those who haven't heard and don't know much about what happened last night. You might want to just summarize this, and we'll take a break and then come back and talk quite a bit about it.
We actually had a lot last night, but we adopted our budget for next year. No property tax increase, same rate, 1.9089 for this year. Wheel tax resolution was pulled, so there'll be no vote on the wheel tax through the county commission, at least at this time. And then we went back and approved the bid to build the new court building, out for lack of a better term, that'll be behind the jail now. We approved that bid. We approved the bond issue. So it will be a project that will move forward now.
And the $84 million is about that's approved, give or take a little, I think.
Yeah, the $84 million bond issue is approved, and the folks at, I'm sorry, the name escapes me, that got the low bid, agreed to hold their bid. It was open until July the 8th, and they agreed to hold it, and so we're locked in on that price at this time.
Okay, well, that's kind of the gist of it. We're going to a break, and we'll get to the details when we come back. This is Coleman and Company, FM 98.9.
And let's see what's happening on the roadways. Thanks to Absolute Kubota, high performance, high horsepower, 0% financing is still a thing. Now is the best time to save on new Kubota L-Series tractors, rated #1 for durability and owner experience in the U.S. Absolute Kubota, 1506 West Main. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. Here's what we see. Heavy traffic out here in a couple of spots. Still coming down from the north there. It was still a bit busy. Left over from a wreck we had earlier on. 65 coming through Millersville. Again, extra travel time coming down from the north there out of Robertson County into Sumner. It's pretty crowded over here now on 40 westbound. At Spence Lane, it's still a mess out there on 840 just off I-40 in Wilson County as they clean up that problem we had earlier this morning. Hey, Princess Hot Chicken has new items on the menu. PrincessHotChicken.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Welcome to Hearthside Senior Living, Lebanon's unique senior living community designed for seniors to age in place, all within a safe, comfortable, and Christian environment. Beautiful retirement homes designed for an independent lifestyle with maintenance-free living. Hearthside Senior Living also continues the excellent tradition of assisted living for those seniors who need additional services. Hearthside Senior Living, an independent retirement community and assisted living community, all on one campus in the heart of Lebanon. Call 615-443-1994 for a tour.
The cozy warmth after coming in from a chilly, pink-cheeked morning walk. The perfect man cave temperature to kick back and watch the big game. When the weather turns cold, a new Rheem heating system will surround your family in total comfort. Are you feeling it? Rheem, the new degree of comfort.
Feel year-round comfort with a new HVAC system installed by the pros at Randy's Heat and Air. We're the local team you can trust. Call Randy's Heat and Air today at 615-237-3604.
We continue here on this Tuesday morning. My thanks to Mike Jennings. Again, he's our county attorney, mayor of Watertown. If we have time this morning, we'll get to your city. But a lot took place last night, and I'm going to kind of depend on you here. I watched most of that, as I said, but there was a lot of water to wade through, let's say, to get from point A to point B.
That's a nice way to put it. Some people might use another term that we can't use on the radio. And I assume you're talking about the building program we're talking about. Yeah, it started last month. Actually, we've been talking about this several years, and it's been through several committees. And last month, we got ready to vote on the $84 million bond issue to build this building. And there was a motion and a second put on the floor. A motion was made to defer so that another interested company could look at the bid and tell us how they could do it cheaper. Well, that's not the way bid process works. Bid process, you either take the low bid or reject bids. So the motion was then made. They withdrew the motion to defer, made the motion to, well, I'm having a senior moment here, made the motion to reject the bid. Mm-hmm. And we voted on that, and it got quite a large vote, got 22 votes.
That's 22 to 2.
Yeah, I think that's right. And so after that, people began to talk about, hey, wait a second now, what have we done here? Some people did, and, how did we get to this point? Began to ask questions. And as I went back and looked at the minutes from the last meeting, Coleman, we made a parliamentary error there. And that is, we voted on the motion to reject the bid while we still had a motion to approve the bond issue on the floor. That shouldn't have happened. But it did. No one raised a point of order. No one moved to reconsider. And, of course, our rules say you got to reconsider at the next before you take up anything else. I didn't catch it. The county mayor didn't catch it. None of the 25 caught it. So once the meeting was over, that was done. Whether we did it correctly or not, it was done. So then people started talking about, well, you're going to have to rescind what you did. And that'll take 2/3 votes. And that's where most of the debate was last night, whether it's going to take 13 or whether it's going to take 2/3. I'll cut to the end and then we'll fill in the gaps if you want to. I offered my opinion that it would only take a majority, 13 votes. Some disagreed with that. I have no issue with that. But when the vote was taken, we got 18. So it came down to it wasn't really an issue. And when that happened, you could just kind of feel the air go out of the room, kind of like, well, we've had this big debate, and it really didn't amount to anything. So the bottom line was the building got approved, the bid got accepted, and then we approved the bond issue, so it can go forward now.
Well, there seems to be quite a bit of misunderstanding about what all takes place when you start a project and some of the procedure that has to go through and some things that have to be, somebody's doing the work and are supposed to get paid for, and yet they haven't, maybe, they say they haven't actually voted to appropriate that money. And I can appreciate where they're coming from there. And then the answer was pretty much, well, that's just the way we've been doing it for all these years, and whether it's right or not, or I mean, maybe you've got a point here, but that's the way we've done it, and we didn't do this any different from what we've done the other. And then that, I think most of the people realize, well, that's true. That is the way that it's been done, whether it's right or not.
I think you've assessed everything right there exactly like the discussion was last night. First of all, the county mayor has the authority to take requests for proposals and employ a professional, accountant, auditors, lawyers, those types of things, architects. And it's always been that way. It's that way for my city. The mayor has the authority. I'm sure the mayor of Lebanon has that same authority. Then you come down to the issue of how much you're going to pay them. Over my years of experience, maybe one time, I was thinking last night, I don't remember it, but I can't say it didn't happen. Did we vote on who we were going to hire and what we were going to pay them? The mayor's always done that. He contracts with them, and then you move forward. It's part of the bond issue to pay them. And that's what happened here. The mayor said last night, if you want me to bring this to you in the future, we'll do it. We'll do it a different way. I'll be glad to do it. But this is the way it's always been done. I think he's very accurate about that, whether it's right or wrong. But we know when an architect gets involved, most of their work's done on the front end with the design work, the schematic drawings, the bid construction documents, and all of that stuff. And 80% of their work's done. I was asked a question last night, a point-blank question, probably the easiest one I had all night. We have a contract here that says we're going to pay this much money. What's that mean? Well, it means we got a contract. We're going to pay it. Kind of like when you sign the bill of sale at the car lot and you buy a new car, you're going to pay it. Yeah. You ain't going to drive off without paying the bill.
Well, I thought it was interesting, too, that the person representing the firm doing that, I think, spoke 2 different times and seemed to be pretty straightforward about the whole thing.
He is. He has been for the last few years. His dad, before that, was doing this. That firm has done a lot of work for this county over the years, both in the school system and less so in the county part, just because we don't build as much in the county, don't build as many jails and stuff as we do schools. but they've always been straightforward, and they'll answer your questions. And I've been in some meetings where they've taken some shots, from people.
Well, I
handled it gracefully.
I think that when the majority of the commissioners saw the bottom line, saw the obligation, and even if you don't accept this bid and you start over, there's quite a bit of money that's going to have to be paid, and then and that obviously I think by the 18-6 vote, that'd be 24, one absent. That was the message. Well, we're too far into this to turn around and go the other way.
That was a factor, I think. The other factor that was mentioned some last night, maybe more in previous meetings, was the longer we wait, the more the cost of building is going to go up. So let's assume that we turn this down tonight and somebody says they can do it more economically, but it takes 6 months to get there, and all of a sudden it's not as economic as we thought. Now, I think you will see now, and I know the mayor intends for that, and I think the budget committee intends for, let's have a frank discussion, some work sessions and stuff about how we want to build buildings in the future. Do we want to build them this way by the hard bid process, or do we want to go to the construction manager process?
Yeah. Well, and what you just said there reminds me, if I can recall, and go back years ago, there's a guy on Channel 4 named Judd Collins who did commercials for Fidelity Federal, and I will never forget this one. It was so short and sweet and so to the point, but he said, how do you build a $30,000 house for $40,000? Wait till next year.
Yeah.
It was that simple a commercial, but it got its point, and that's kind of where we are here, I think, in a way, maybe.
Judd Collins, that goes back some years, Coleman. I remember him very well.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's enough on that. What about the wheel tax? And one other thing I want to ask you too, but go ahead, wheel tax.
The wheel tax resolution got pulled in the budget committee. They called a budget committee meeting last night for one other thing, but while they were there, they determined to say, budget committee sent the wheel tax resolution forward, so they had the authority to pull it back, and they did. So it never got to a vote at the county commission. I sensed that was never going to happen. Coleman, one of the things about a budget process that's always bothered me a little bit is we start talking about it in February, and somebody's always talking tax increase, tax increase, tax increase. You don't want to talk a tax increase until you know it's going to happen, because when you say tax increase, you rile people up.
Yeah.
And I never could see a tax increase coming this year. I just could not see it. I'm not the money man, but I sit back and listen and watch, and I just couldn't see it happening. And so I didn't see that this would go forward if there was no need for additional money. Why take this forward? Now, this money was going to be earmarked for a specific purpose, but what I was hearing the last few days was it's not going to go.
Yeah. All right, I want you to explain something quickly here, but you have a time in the meeting when you suspend the rules, and I think you go out of session and you do something, and then you come back. That's probably a parliamentary requirement or something. What's that all about?
Okay, a couple of ways I think right off the bat. Number one, all of our resolutions that we're going to vote on about money have to be in writing, and they go out 7 days in advance, okay? We had one last night that had to be done. It was, as Aaron Maynard said, a year-ending thing where we were adjusting some things. So they had to get the budget committee to recommend it last night, but it wasn't in the packet. So we suspended our rules so we could vote on that. That means our local rules are out, and it doesn't have to be in writing 7 days in advance. So
it's kind of a technicality, but in order to be proper, you have to do that.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then the second way where it comes up most of the time is where it's something parliamentary, because maybe we have a rule that speaks on it, or even if we don't have a rule that speaks on it, if you vote to suspend the rules, then you automatically fall back to Robert's Rules of Order. And so that's what probably the second most popular, not popular, but accurate way.
2 minutes.
Yep.
Watertown in 2 minutes.
Well, council meeting tonight, hopefully will be brief. It's our recessed meeting, calling it back to order tonight. We're going to do a continuation budget. State has given me permission to go to the end of August to prepare ours, simply because They wanted us to do a water rate study before we started the sewer project. We're in the process of getting that done. But we need the extra time to figure out what we're going to have to set water and sewer rates at to fund the budget. And so I was pleasantly surprised that when I asked for this additional time, they came back and said yes. So we'll do a continuation budget tonight to stay on where we are.
Maybe that gives you a little time to do a better job or a thorough job, more thorough job.
It does me, Coleman. I'm going to have to take some time. I don't have a finance director. I do the budget myself, so if people like it, it's good. If they don't, they can blame me. But I'm not an expert in that either. But I've got 40 years of it now.
You're going to make it without a tax increase, maybe?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll be all right. No, we're not going to make it without a water and sewer rate increase. I mean, I've been talking that for months. We borrowed $5.4 million, and that's got to be paid back.
So, but the increase is going to be in water and sewer, not in property taxes.
And I don't want to put out a figure right now and then have to do more, or put out a figure and say, well, it didn't have to be as much. So we'll just try to get it as close to accurate as possible.
But you have got a little bit more time and hopefully do a better job and a more thorough job.
I do, and I appreciate that, but I will say something I've said many times on this show. I hate this time of year for budget purposes. Why don't we do this in January and February when there's nothing going on?
Yeah. Thanks for your visit. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Hopefully see you next month.
I hope so.
And I know you hope after UT becomes a baseball team.
I will enjoy seeing you either way, but if that happens, it will be a first.
You'll probably have that shirt on again.
Well, I got more shirts.
That's it for today. Join us tomorrow. Until then, I wish you a terrific day.